Hello, my dear viewers and listeners. May peace be upon you all. This is the first lecture of Organic Chemistry video series, and from today's lecture, I shall try to explain the ins and outs of organic chemistry, focusing on SSC or O-level and A-level students. So, those who are studying this part of chemistry, before going to understand the whole things, we need to know this is a bigger part of the entire chemistry, and when we will study organic chemistry, we need to understand each of them clearly. So you have to study about alkane, alkene, alkynes, alcohol, fatty acids, ethers, amino acids, and a lot of things related with that. Before going to digging on that, we need to know what is hydrocarbons. What is hydrocarbons? So, as we will study only the hydrocarbons and its derivatives, the functional groups, the homologous series, their preparations, their uses and properties. So lots of things coming next. Before going to that, we need to know what is about organic chemistry. Okay? So organic chemistry is a branch of chemistry. It's definitely a branch of chemistry where hydrocarbons and its derivatives will be explained. Their properties, their sources, their uses and lots of other things related to them will be explained, will be discussed. That branch of chemistry is known as organic chemistry. So organic chemistry is that branch where hydrocarbons is the main focus. So what is hydrocarbons? Hydrocarbons is that compounds is nothing but the combination of hydrogen and carbon. So those compounds for the summations of hydrogen and carbon, these are called hydrocarbon. But only hydrogen and carbon is not the main part of the hydrocarbon. There are other elements that can be replaced by hydrogen like sulfur, phosphorus, nitrogen, oxygen, halogens. These are the elements that can also replace this hydrogen and can produce some other derivatives. So on the next lecture, when I'll explain about hydrocarbons, their types, their naming, that part I shall explain these ones. So before going to that, you know that hydrocarbons are the compounds that is made up of hydrogen and carbon. So organic chemistry is a branch of chemistry where these things will be discussed. The hydrocarbon things will be discussed. And then what about organic compounds? Organic compounds are those compounds which is hydrocarbon and their derivatives. Hydrocarbons and their derivatives. These are the organic compounds. We say that methane, ethane, propane, butane, these are all alkanes. Ethene, propene, butene, alkenes, ethanol, propanol, butanol, these are all the things that I have said is about organic compounds. And this is the basis of our life, because we know that DNA is made up of pentose sugar, deoxyribonucleic acid. This is also organic compounds. So that is the more complex part of the organic compounds. Before going to explain that, we need to know the branch of chemistry where hydrocarbons and the derivatives will be discussed. That is organic chemistry, and these organic compounds are this. Now, what is vital force theory and why it is important to be discussed? Because back in 1808, Swedish scientist Johannes Jacob Berzelius. Now, this man should be explained here. Berzelius said that the organic compounds or organic compounds can only be synthesized from the living organisms, from God created organisms. So the vital force theory comes up like a mysterious force. So in 1808 he said it, and then the vital force theory came up in 1815. In 1815, the vital force theory was explained, and the theory is written like here: that organic compounds cannot be made in the laboratory from the inorganic compounds. It was said by Berzelius, and then the vital force theory is established till this year, because the important part of this, that vital force theory was not accepted after Frederick Euler invention, sudden invention in the laboratory. And coming up with that, before we explain it, these three principles is said that the principles of vital force. Organic compounds, that is OC, cannot be made in the laboratory from inorganic compounds. It was said by Jöns Jacob Berzelius. Secondly, synthesis of organic compounds requires a vital force, that is called a mysterious force, that is God created, something living, which cannot be synthesized in the laboratory. So only living organisms, that is God given, contains this vital force. So it was the vital force theory. So in 1815 the vital force theory was given. So when it was proven now, after the scientist Frederick Euler. So what is Frederick Euler invention? Frederick Euler invention was that Frederick Euler in 1828. This year is important. Just remember 1828. In this year, in the laboratory, when Frederick Euler is actually is doing what? Doing ammonium chloride, aqueous form, and lead cyanate. So ammonium chloride in aqueous form and lead cyanate are mixing together, and then suddenly what happens? Ammonium chloride, lead cyanate, ammonium cyanate and lead chloride. So what happened? Ammonium cyanate, and then lead chloride. When ammonium cyanate was prepared, it was reorganized to produce urea. How it happens? This ammonium cyanate was reorganized to produce H2NCONH2, and this is urea, because this is urea and it was previously synthesized from the urine of mammals, and this is organic compounds. So first in 1828, surprisingly and suddenly, when Frederick Euler is mixing these two aqueous solutions and get heated to produce ammonium cyanate, and suddenly ammonium cyanate was reorganized, and it's like, you can say this is the example of isomerization reaction, because the number of atoms of this molecule was same here, but the structure and the properties are totally different. Here this is ammonium cyanate, this is inorganic compounds, and this is organic compounds. So till 1828, what Berzelius said, that organic compounds can only be synthesized from the living organism, but it was not true, because when Frederick Euler suddenly created urea from the ammonium cyanate, from this experiment it was said that vital force theory is no longer accepted. And then Frederick Euler is said the father of organic chemistry, said the father of organic chemistry. So from this invention, Frederick Euler invention, the vital force theory of Berzelius was no longer accepted. So this is important for you all, those who are planning to study organic chemistry sequentially. I am requesting you all, do not skip any part of it. Especially student of English version, those are SSC level or O level students, you need to understand one thing, that when you will be one step more ahead on your career, that A levels and HSC level chemistry, you must know a lot about organic chemistry. So do not skip anything. I will try my level best to upload all the part of organic chemistry like alkanes, preparations and use, naming, alkenes, alkynes, alcohol, aldehyde, fatty acid, ether, ketone, amines, and a lot of things. So each and every part that I said, we have to know what are the properties, what are the systems of the naming, and why. This is important because the number of organic compounds right now is more than 8 millions. Comparatively, the number of inorganic compounds like less than 0.1 million. So you see, the number of organic compounds are much more than the inorganic compounds. Why? Because of three reasons. Number one, we know that organic compounds are the compounds from carbon, actually hydrocarbon. So there is properties of carbon that it can create covalent bond with each other, and each carbon is connected with each other and can create a long chain, open chain, which is called catenation. So I will definitely discuss it in the later part, but I am just explaining to you that there are three reasons. That is why number of organic compounds are much more, which is at least 8 millions organic compounds are there. Number one, catenation. Number two, isomerization. And number three is polymerization. So these three properties creates the enhancing number of organic compounds, and that is why we need to know each of every single thing of this chapter properly. That is why this is the first class, the first lecture that I explained shortly about vital force. So what you need to remember, what is organic compounds, what is organic chemistry, and these are the principles of vital force. Who invented vital force? Who said it? First, Johannes Jacob Berzelius till 1815, and then in 1828 Frederick Euler invented, not actually invented, it was created in lab, that urea can be synthesized from ammonium cyanide. What was the reaction? This lead cyanide is reacting with ammonium chloride. So it was not intentional, because Frederick Euler didn't know that it will be going on, but when suddenly it happens, it lacks a mystery, and that is why previously explained vital force theory is no longer acceptable. So this is the first lecture, and the second lecture I'm coming up with the explanation of hydrocarbons and their types and properties. Take care, stay well.